Hi, I'm Felipa, and today is day 112 of my 365-day commitment to complete reading this Bible. So I'm still in the book of Job. And once again, very similar to yesterday, there's a bunch of these little sections that I will just very quickly review because all of them are quite significantly deep enough to go into a much longer video, literally to discuss every single section. So Job is still struggling with understanding why his wealth, health, family have been destroyed by God. He thought he was doing everything he needs to be good. His friends have come to visit him and they continue to console him and advise him, but he's not doing so good with the things they're saying. So one of his friends, Eliphaz, says, "You're speaking sinfully," essentially talking to the way that Job is mentioning and kind of going through this existential crisis and talking about losing hope. And so this friend is speaking in reference to Job's essentially ongoing rant or ongoing speech about how he doesn't understand why he's being punished and how he's suffering as a result. Eliphaz says, "You're speaking sinfully." In chapter 15, verse 2 says, "Should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good?" So kind of calling Job out and saying, the things that you're saying are unprofitable. They can do you no good. The way that you're upset about this is not doing anything for you. Eliphaz then continues to say how wicked people live tortured lives, saying that they are always on the run from what they've done and from what they're doing, and they will be punished ultimately, and they will not prosper in the end. Job then gets back to them and says that his friends lack mercy, saying that, yeah, sure, maybe I'd be saying the same things you would be if I was in your shoes, but that's not the case. Pretty much saying, you don't understand me. In this next section, he says his eyes pour out tears to God. He's basically, saying that he doesn't understand why God is punishing him, and he's desperate to understand. This little section, he says, "You, my friends, have no wisdom," so he's not really taking a liking to their consult. Then another friend, Bildad the Shuhite, says, "When will you stop talking?" And he continues to also say the wicked live in terror, so he's also in support of the other friend, Eliphaz. Job then goes back to talking about how God is mistreating him, that he seeks to destroy him, strip him of his glory, sending his wrath upon him. But then he has this little section saying that he maintains confidence in his God because he does believe that he will essentially meet his maker. Another friend, Zophar the Nemathite, he reviews a section again about how the wicked have little joy and much pain. I really like this quote too. Chapter 20, verse 15, it says, "He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly." So talking about the wicked, even though if they don't seem like they're prospering at first, they really are not. I like kind of maybe not so much the visualization of this quote or of this verse, but just saying that, sure, you might have riches, but you will vomit them up again. Essentially, those riches will not benefit you, they will make you sick. So really interesting contrast, right? Between being wealthy and like the difference between being rich and wealthy. So here I would say you're being rich and those things and whatnot, that money causes you illness, and being wealthy perhaps with how you live, how you conduct yourself in life, how you conduct family, and how that speaks to the volume and to the gravity of the wealth that you have. And then therefore that wealth actually benefits you and makes you feel good. So it's not this rich type of feeling that causes you sickness, but a wealthy type of feeling that causes you good. Job once again here in chapter 21 says, "Please listen and hear me, my friends." So he's once again speaking to them and saying he agrees. Sometimes the wicked do prosper. So he's constantly going back and forth and saying, are you guys hearing me? Like to his friends, like, are you listening to me? Do you not see that the people who are wealthy, they end up being in power? They have offspring, they have, bulls and calves, and they sing and they dance, and then we all die together. But how often is it that the wicked gets how often is it that the wicked feel the destruction of God? So he's really questioning this piece, right? Like thinking that if you're good, you receive good, and if you're bad, you receive bad. And lastly, this last section, he says, no one understands God's dealings, because he's recognizing he's not dealing with being able to understand another fellow man. He's trying to understand God and God's perspective. So this is where we end this last section. This is day 112, December 21st. Tomorrow is day 113 on the 22nd of December, 2025. Yeah, this is a really, really interesting section of the Bible about Job. Very philosophical. Lots of conversations back and forth about Job trying to figure out what God means to him, what good means, what being wicked means. And tomorrow I start on chapter 22, so I'm very excited to see where this goes, because there's a lot of really, really deep points to consider in this section. Thank you for listening, and I'll stay in touch tomorrow.